What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into our live show. Where today we have a lot to break down on the Minnesota Vikings. We actually got some great news in terms of a comp pick that the Vikings will get. And also, we got an awesome J.J. McCarthy story that I want to share with you guys. Actually connected to Jayden Daniels. So we got a lot to break down on today's show. But let's start off with getting some shout-outs in the chat, as Patrick Siepman is actually in the chat. What up, Sieps? How you doing? Saying sell the team, and he also saying Sam Darnell's. Shout out to you in the chat. But Munkus in the building, Mush AK, the Purple Filth in the house, James F in the building as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Miles saying Skull, we love the Vikings. Grave might be him saying Skull. Shout out to you, man. Miles, Munkus, Bluey, Mush AK, Normal Size, Michael Stevenson, Ben, all of the real ones in the building. But I put the poll as pick a QB, and 94 votes so far, and we got 82% in favor of J.J. McCarthy being the starting quarterback next season, and 17% in favor of Sam Darnold. Old Red saying no bathroom breaks, only pee jugs, or Vikings lose. I did take a lot of pee breaks this season. I don't know if that has direct impact on the Vikings collapsing at the end of the season, but who knows? And now we have Marshall Green in the building saying sell the team. So Patrick Siepman and Marshall Green saying the Wilfs need to sell here. Shout out to you guys for tuning in, though. Lance Swanson saying Skull. M. Reed saying Skull. Shout out to y'all. But big news yesterday. Kevin O'Connell got a massive extension. We have not heard how many years or how much the contract is, but I'm assuming since Ben Johnson, it's getting reported that he got around $13 million from the Bears. I would have to assume that Kevin O'Connell probably got at least $1 million more, maybe 14, 15 million. And we haven't heard the exact year yet. I'm assuming once Kwesi gets extended, we'll hear, whether it's 4 years for each, 3 years for each, 5 years for each. But if I had to give my best guess, Kevin O'Connell probably signed a 4-year, $15 million per year extension, and then Kwesi will probably get the same deal, keep those guys on the same timeline. But you guys let me know, how do you feel about it? I feel good. I think it was something that needed to get done, as now we have Trace Gerard in the building. I would love to know who this is. Just switching back and forth. Hey, shout out to Trizzy Trace in the building. Hemlock saying, Wolves ain't the poll ads. They don't need to sell the team. They're trying to clean up the last regime's mess and doing a fine job of it. Yeah, I mean, even though the Wolves aren't the wealthiest owners in the NFL in terms of just cash they have in their pocket, I think they have put everything they can into the Vikings organization. Like, when all those report cards come out at the end of the year, the Vikings I think they've been number one for the last 3 seasons in about every category. So clearly the players in the locker room, the players in the NFL, like, they truly do, respect what the ownership has done. Now we got Mitchell Renz. I'm hoping we see a Jack Ray in here eventually, but we'll see. No, yeah, we will find out who this is. If I had to give my best guess, it would be Johnson Yu, but we'll see. Bluey saying, not gonna lie, I can't wait for the draft. I can't wait either. Honestly, free agency for the Vikings is going to be a little more exciting since we do have the 6th most amount of cap space out of any single team. And the Vikings right now, they only have 4 draft picks, which we will talk about. They did get an additional one due to comp picks, which is actually a 3rd rounder, which is great news for the Vikes, considering how limited they are on draft capital. But shout out to Barbara and Bluey all in the building. But we'll dive into more here around the Vikes, of course. But first, I want to give a massive shout-out to one of our sponsors on today's live show, and that is Game Time. And take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and they actually have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. So that link is in the live chat right now and in the description of today's show. But check them out. Massive shout out to Game Time. Download the app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now I also want to give another massive shout out to one of my favorites here at Chat Sports, and that is Prize Picks. Now, if you guys download the Prize Picks app today and plug in that promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You heard that right. $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, Prize Picks, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award and winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. And with the NFC and AFC championship games this weekend, I'm rolling with Jayden Daniels. They actually have a sweet deal going on right now. We're only one passing yard from the rookie quarterback in Washington. We'll get you a win on Prize Picks. Then I got him connecting with Scary Terry to find the end zone one time. Then I'm actually going to fade James Cook on this. Going to take his less on 56.5 rushing yards. And then Saquon, I can almost promise you he'll find the end zone this weekend. So I'm going to take the more on his half a rush or receiving touchdown. But fade those picks, ride with those picks, just do so at Prize Picks. And when you guys plug in that promo code CONS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you create your first $5 lineup. So massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, get down to the live chat. Poll question on today's show. Pick a QB for me. J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold. Now we have Harrison Graham in the chat. Shout out to Harry. Just covering all bases here, whoever this guy is. But be able saying, double down, 0-2 in the playoffs, unacceptable extension. Wolves are pissing away their money. Faster than slinging Sammy Darnold pissed away the last 2 games. Listen, for everybody who's disagreeing with the extension for Kevin O'Connell, you guys need to give me a replacement option. Because if they were to get rid of Kevin O'Connell, who would you want to be the other head coach for the Minnesota Vikings? I think it's ludicrous for people saying, and I've been very critical of KOC, especially over the last 2 weeks. I don't think his game plans were the best. I thought his play calling in big spots, was not the best that we have seen from him. But also, he's had Sam Darnold. He's had Kirk Cousins. He's had Josh Dobbs as his quarterback over the last couple of years. And he has done a fine job. But I'm rocking out with JJ in this. I just don't think you can allocate a lot of your future capital in terms of free agency money in the Sam Darnold. Even if you would tag him, that would take $41 million off the books for this upcoming season. I just don't think you can do that. I think you got to trust in JJ, trust in the process, here in this Vikings organization. And that process was getting a young QB on a rookie contract, have him play at a top 10, top 12 level. Then you build a stacked roster around him. But if you pay Sam Darnold a lot of money, that kind of puts you behind the 8 ball, because then you're kind of playing in 2 camps where it's like, yeah, we're trying to take advantage of this quarterback on a rookie deal, but we're also paying big money to a quarterback. I just don't think it would be the right call for the Vikings organization, and there's a big reason why JJ is a heavy favorite to be QB1 next year. But if you guys got a question for me, let me know. Hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. If you guys could, hashtag Vikings in live chat. If you guys want to talk about J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold, whoever it may be, get those questions in there. Hashtag Vikings. Or if you guys want to guarantee your spot on our mailbag, sending in a super chat is the #1 way to do so. So if you guys got a hot take where maybe you're disagreeing with me, you guys think Sam Darnold should be the starting quarterback, get those thoughts. Use hashtag Vikings. We'll love to chop it up with you guys. By no means I'm saying whatever I say has to be the way that everybody has to think. That's why I love it here at Chat Sports. We get to chop it up with you guys in the comment section. So if you guys got a hot take or a question around the Minnesota Vikings, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. But Chase Sr., a guy I work with here, first time ever Super Chatting, saying, I don't like JJ. Get Stetson Bennett. So I think this – yeah. This is a troll, by the way. I'm going to guess this is AFX Apocalypse, actually. I don't know, because this – No. Got rid of him. Well, Chase Sr., I like JJ. I think he's a whole lot better than Stetson Bennett. That's all I got to say about that. But coming up on today's show, the Vikings get some great draft news from the NFL in terms of a comp pick that they're going to get. Then we do have a really cool J.J. McCarthy story talking about his rehab. How has he been, developing behind the scenes here? And then the Vikings' secret weapon. There is a coach on this coaching staff that maybe not a lot of people know about, but he's got an awesome story, and he's actually 28 years old, and this guy is one of the hidden gems on this coaching staff. And then, like I said, we got a mailbag coming up, so get those questions in there. Hashtag Vikings. And if you guys are ready to rock, hit that thumbs up icon. We're at 35 likes right now. Jack Wanneray, what do you say about 50? 50 likes, we get this thing going. So 50 more likes, and then we'll start today's show on the great draft news the Minnesota Vikings got. Skull TV saying Chase clearly doesn't watch film. Yeah, if you're saying Stetson Bennett's better than J.J. McCarthy, you're not watching a lot of football. But hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I just think that's a bad one. Yeah, unless it's wrong. Alternate coach, P.J. Fleck or Draymond Green. That's I did not have that on my bingo card. Did I call it or what? AFX, I sniffed that out, my friend. I thought it was AFX or Johnson U, but AFX, given the Stetson Bennett, I was like, all right, this has to be a guy from one of Petey's channels. And when I think of one of Petey's channels, I think of Ty Man the Buckeye, and I think of our guy AFX Apocalypse. And it turns out it is him saying, Patrick, that took forever to make burners. I appreciate the effort, man. I appreciate the effort getting in there, but I also don't appreciate you saying the Vikings ownership should sell the team, AFX. Come on now. But I appreciate you super chatting, getting up on the show. But Skull Nation, great question. Gray Ward and Harold, great question as well. But hey, we just crossed over as Munkus is laughing about it. Yeah, we got a lot of burners in the chat today. Jacob also saying, Pat, who do you think is better, Georgia QB last 5 years? Bennett or Beck? Probably same boat for me. Honestly, would probably lean Stetson Bennett. I mean, the guy's got some rings for a reason. Yeah, I'd probably go Bennett, but they're on the same tier of quarterback, in my opinion. But be able, appreciate you. Love that question. Same with the purple filth. But let's dive into it. Vikings get some great draft news, and then also Todd McShay. What did he have to say about the Vikings pick at number 24? Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, us Vikings fans, we got some great news around the NFL draft as it's looking like the Vikes will get just that one extra pick in this year's upcoming NFL draft. And also Mel Kiper, speaking of the draft, he dropped his first mock, so we'll tell you guys who he had the Vikings selecting at pick number 24. But let me know this answer to this question. When I was thinking about my Vikings fandom, and I love hearing different answers to this. Which Vikings player made you fall in love with the Minnesota Vikings? For me, I'm 25 years old, so the guy I grew up watching, made me fall in love with this football team, was Adrian Peterson. Just watching him run the football every single Sunday. I mean, it was a ton of fun. But you guys let me know, which Vikings player made you fall in love with this Vikings team? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right. Great news for the Vikes. We are getting another comp pick for Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter leaving in free agency. Now, the Vikings are actually in play to get another comp pick for Danielle here, but they ended up signing Shaq Griffin, so it took them out of that equation. But here are the comp picks for this upcoming year just in the first 5 rounds. The Vikings will be getting one in the 3rd round, the only team besides the Miami Dolphins when Robert Hunt left for the Carolina Panthers. But here are all the comp picks. The Niners are getting 2 of them. The Cowboys are getting 2 fifths, but big up here. Vikings get a 3rd round pick. And, you know, when I saw the comp pick come out, immediately what I thought about was GM Kwesi adofo-mensah and, you know, the stones that he had to just let Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter walk in free agency. Because if you go back this time last season, it was a huge topic of conversation. Like, should the Vikings pay Kirk Cousins? Should they try to bring him back? You know, 36-year-old quarterback coming off a torn Achilles. How much would he have left in the tank? And a lot of fans were pretty much split on this, but I would almost say majority wanted Kirk Cousins back because we were winning games when he was the starting quarterback. But this past season, I mean, just comparing the guy the Vikings brought in on a 1-year, $10 million contract compared to Kirk Cousins, who signed a 4-year, $180 million deal with $100 million guaranteed, Sam Darnold was a way better quarterback. Now, I don't also think that, Sam Darnold had a way better support system. Yes, I think he had a better support system, but it's not like Kirk was playing with a bunch of nobodies. Like, he had Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan Robinson. Like, he had a lot of playmakers in that offense. So you got to give credit to Kwesi, just saying, hey, we're going to rock out with this bridge quarterback, get the most out of him, and it was 110% the right decision. I understand we criticize Kwesi for his drafts. They have not been good by any means, but he has been a very smart mind in free agency, and I think that was a great move. But another great move, in my opinion, was just letting Danielle Hunter walk, and then you go pick up Jonathan Grenard. I mean, we can pretty much call this a trade between the Vikings and the Texans this past free agency, and the numbers are eerily similar here. I mean, Grenard's got the edge in tackles total for the season, but they got the same amount of sacks, 1 more TFL for Grenard, 3 more forced fumbles, same amount of PBUs, batting balls down at the line of scrimmage. But, you know, the biggest difference between Grenard and Danielle Hunter here, Grenard's just younger. He's 26, turning 27. Danielle was pushing 30 at the time last season. But still, the only blue chipper the Vikings had defensively last season was Danielle Hunter. And Kwesi said, you know what? We're going to go bring in a younger guy, get the same production out of him. It was just another great move. So where does that leave the Vikings 2025 draft capital? We're up to 4 picks now. We were sitting at a lowly 3 picks. But, hey, we got our first rounder, pick number 24. And now we're going to slot in to have another top 100 pick in round 3. Then we also got our own 5th, and then we actually do have a 5th rounder from that Zadarius Smith trade a couple years ago to the Cleveland Browns. But the one thing I will say with the limited amount of draft capital here, if the Vikings, if they're not in love with the prospect at pick number 24, I could very well see them wanting to trade back, whether that's for 2 seconds or a second and a third. Just be very aware that that could be a huge possibility for the Vikings. Let's just say if Genty's off the board, or a guy like Benjamin Morrison, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, if he's off the board and they don't love any of the prospects, they could easily trade back. But my ideal offseason, let's just go here. You sign offensive lineman in free agency. You got Trey Smith. You got Drew Dahlman. Now, a lot of fans around the NFL, they're all clamoring over Trey Smith. They really want him, but I guarantee you the Vikings will throw him a sizable contract. It just depends if he wants to come here. But ideally for me, you hit offensive line hard in free agency. Then you draft a corner in round 1, and we'll talk about a corner here in a second. Then you target a running back in round 3, very deep running back class this season. Cam Scatterbo, I'm hearing that in my ear. Maybe that's a sign from the man up top. I don't know. But, hey, I would love Cam Scatterbo, at round 3. And then you just go depth in with your 2 picks in round 5. But speaking about this offseason, speaking about Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, how much do you trust Cam as our GM for the Minnesota Vikings? Scale it for me, 1 to 10, down below in the comment section. Right now, put myself on the spot here, I'd probably go 7.5. I trust him in free agency to make the right moves. It just comes down to drafting for him, because besides Jordan Addison, you don't really have an impact player over the last 3 drafts. So if he shores that up, I'll probably give this a 9, 9.5. But as it stands right now, I'll go 7.5. Now, we'll talk about Mel Kiper's mock draft here in a second, but first, I got to give a massive shout-out to today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, Game Time has an awesome new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Now, if you guys want to go to a Timberwolves game, a Wild game over the next couple of weeks, and you guys want to hook yourself up with $20 off, Game Time is the best way to do so. A ton of good teams coming to Minnesota over the next couple of weeks, so take advantage. Get yourself a free beer at the game by plugging in that promo code CHATSPORTS on your first purchase. They'll hook you guys up with $20 off. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's dive into it. This guy right here, Mel Kiper, dropped his first mock draft this week, and he had a very, very interesting selection for the Vikings at pick number 24. But let's see what the first 5 picks before the Vikings were. It was Nick Emenwari, safety, went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they did have Ashton Genty going to the Denver Broncos at pick 20. Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State wide receiver, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 21. And then if I had to guarantee one pick out of any mock draft that is out there, you can lock this in. If Colston Loveland or Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan, I will promise you Jim Harbaugh will try to get his Michigan tight end, Colston Loveland. You can lock that in. But then they had the Packers at pick number 23, selecting the edge rusher out of Marshall, Mike Green. So where does that leave the Minnesota Vikings? Well, the Vikings at pick number 24, according to Mel Kiper, will draft Notre Dame quarterback Benjamin Morrison. I love this guy. I'm a huge fan of this pick. I am hoping he falls to pick number 24, especially if the Vikings are able to hit offensive line in free agency. This would be ideal to land Benjamin Morrison at pick number 24. But let's see what Mel Kiper had to say. All 3 starters, Steph Gilmore, Shaq Griffin, and slot guy Byron Murphy Jr. are free agents, along with backup Fabian Morrow. So even though the Vikings led the NFL in interceptions by quite a bit, 24, 5 more than second best, they might have to restock their cornerback room in the draft. Morrison missed all but 6 games in 2024 with a hip injury, but he's a top-tier cover man. He has sound technique, and he has the ball skills to keep Minnesota's INT total high. Morrison had 9 picks and 21 pass breakups over his career. I love this pick. And also, if Harrison Smith does retire, I would love to replace him in the secondary with another golden domer being Benjamin Morrison. But what I see on this guy, just watching the tape over the last year for him, very physical corner. I think he offers more versatility than people would think. You can put him in the slot, you can put him outside. I could even see him lining up, as a box safety in certain spots. But here is how his slot alignments by snaps over this past season. He actually had 4 at defensive line, very versatile guy, but 22 at slot corner, 272 at just the pure outside cornerback position, then box in 15 snaps, and then deep half safety. He was only in there for one of them. But, Benjamin Morrison, if the Vikings do re-sign Byron Murphy, ideally you would hope so, maybe at around $17, $18 million a year. You re-sign, Byron Murphy. You have Mekhi Blackman coming back from that torn ACL. Then if you throw in Benjamin Morrison with also a guy like Dwight McGlothern sitting in the reins there, that's a solid 4-man cornerback group that you can build off of heading into the next season. And also with Brian Flores most likely coming back as the defensive coordinator, getting these versatile corners who love to play in the run game. Great scheme fit. So if this is the pick for the Vikings, I think it's a home run pick, one of my top draft targets. But, hey, I would love for the Vikes to draft Benjamin Morrison. But you guys let me know. Name a player the Vikings need to draft, whether that's Ashton Jeanty, Caleb Johnson, Benjamin Morrison, Tyler Booker, any of these guys. You guys let me know. Name a player the Vikings need to draft. Excuse me. If you guys also want to hit me up on Twitter, that's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes. Alrighty, you guys let me know. Moonka saying if Blackman can stay healthy. Yeah, that's the biggest kicker with Mekhi. I think he will, though. I mean, in spot starts during his rookie campaign, I thought he was pretty solid. King of the North saying Ashton Jeanty. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to come down to if he falls to the Vikes at 24. And even if he's there at 24, I would still have hesitations that Kwesi would pull the trigger on that. Very analytically, driven GM. He's probably thinking, oh, I can get the best running back here, but I could also get maybe not the same tier of prospect, but I could get a guy in the 3rd round who can have the same production as a guy like Jeanty, like a Cam Scadaboo. Who knows? Which I know a lot of people want him on the purple and gold, but we'll have to wait and see. But I would love to target corner in the 1st round. Benjamin Morrison's my guy. So we'll see. Mooka's saying if Morrison is there, take him. I'm with you. But hey, if you guys got questions around the NFL draft, hit me up in the comment section right now. Use hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. Any questions about the NFL draft, free agency, hot takes around the Minnesota Vikings? If you guys disagree with the Kevin O'Connell extension, let your thoughts be heard down below in the comments. And use hashtag Vikings. You get up right on the screen next to me. Profile pic, your name, the whole 9. So whatever you guys want to say around your Vikes, let it be known in the live chat. Hashtag Vikings, or if you guys want to guarantee your spot, just send in a super chat. We would really appreciate it. But I'm super fired up to dive into the segment. J.J. McCarthy, he's taken a couple pages out of Jayden Daniels' playbook here using this VR headset, and I cannot wait to dive into it with you guys. So let's dive into it right now. Is J.J. McCarthy following Jayden Daniels' path to success in the NFL? Well, we're going to talk about it on today's show. What's going on, everybody? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. This is an awesome show for you guys. I cannot wait to dive into the whole thing. But before we do so, I was taking a look at a couple of our other NFC North channels here at Chat Sports, and specifically Lions Talk here. They have over 84,000 subscribers. I am putting out a very lofty goal here. If we could somehow catch Lions Talk in subscribers by the end of next football season, that would be awesome. That's a goal I'm setting. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button, a lofty goal, but you guys hitting that sub button today could really, really help us out. So please do so. Hit that subscribe button. All right, so we're going to start off this J.J. McCarthy segment here, talking about Jayden Daniels. So Todd Jacob, great follow on Twitter, very intelligent football mind, but he put out something after the Commanders beat the Lions in Detroit, talking about Jayden Daniels' development. And he said Jayden Daniels made VR training a condition for any team drafting him. Now he's NFL Rookie of the Year and 1 game away from the Super Bowl. His edge, training his brain at 1.7 times speed. So let's dive into us a little bit. So then he followed this up by saying the secret wasn't just VR. It's how they used it. Number 1 was speed manipulation. everything runs. Every play Jayden Daniels would see on that VR headset would be an almost 2 times speed. Defenses move faster than real life. The brain adapts to heightened pace, and real games feel slower. And then also the cognitive rewiring. 250 to 300 extra reps per week, thousands of mental repetitions, zero physical toll, which is obviously huge with where J.J. McCarthy's at, and there's just pure neural adaptation. I love this, and especially with where J.J. McCarthy is right now in his process. Obviously he doesn't have a lot going on. And, he's recovering from this torn meniscus, and if he can't be able to get out there on the football field, throw high-quality reps just because his body is not physically allowing him to do so, he can just toss on that VR headset, and he can just play games. Like, it's literally like Madden, just heightened. And I think it's awesome that the Vikings are adapting this to JJ. But Todd Jacob also followed it up saying the technology is mind-bending. Eye tracking shows exactly where QBs look. I mean, just think about that. Like, if you pop on the VR headset, if you look one way, they have the technology where that safety would jump that way, so you can even get reps in terms of looking players off. It is awesome what they do. I wish I could show the video for you guys. But it also says stadium specified details down to scoreboard location. So this thing is about as real as it can get. And every defensive scheme imaginable, real play calls recorded by coaches, custom built for each opponent. But that's not the real story here. He also had this to say. When most rookies see NFL defenses, their minds race. Processing speed overwhelms them. Confidence wavers. Decision-making slows. Pressure builds. Daniels, he's seen it all almost 2 times faster. And that's one thing where I love J.J. McCarthy coming out the draft because he is such an elite processor, and he's just cool, calm, and collected. He doesn't get overwhelmed. And the Vikings, they're doing this with them, even dating back to last September. This was coming in from Kevin Seifert, beat reporter for ESPN covering the Minnesota Vikings, saying to optimize McCarthy's development while on IR, Sam Darnold agreed to wear a modified camera on his helmets during practices and walkthroughs. McCarthy uses the video to simulate practice reps via virtual reality. I don't want to underestimate this. And if other teams aren't doing this with their young quarterbacks, or just any quarterbacks, like, this is huge for development. The fact that JJ was, terrible injury, could not play the entire season, awful. But it makes me so happy knowing that he was still getting high-quality reps behind the scenes using this VR headset. It is truly one of the most awesome things that the Vikings have deployed, in this development for JJ. And I just can't wait for next season. I can't wait for next preseason. Just the first real reps of him getting out there. And I'm a sicko when I say this, but JJ, his game against the Raiders, I have probably watched this 100 times. Every single throw, I have watched it over and over again. I can thank Thor Nystrom on Twitter. He tweets out JJ's highlights every single day. I watch all of them. I can't get enough of JJ McCarthy, and he was fantastic in that first preseason game. Just under 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, had that 1 interception. But, hey, just rookie quarterbacks getting those rookie mistakes out of the way. But another big reason why I'm such a fan of JJ is, the kid's a winner. And Ben Johnson actually had an interesting comment today at his press conference saying it used to be what's the biggest kind of difference maker in terms of NFL team wins. It used to be the turnover battle, but then he pretty much chalked it up to quarterback success. And I think even though quarterback wins are not a total quarterback stat, but I think it is telling that whether I was at Nazareth Academy, IMG, or at Michigan, this kid has only lost 4 football games when he has been the starter since literally his freshman year of high school. Unbelievable. But I was going back, and I found an old little pros and cons scouting report I had for JJ before the draft. And, number one, I had potential. Kid's got a live arm. Really one of the most underrated arms, I think, in the NFL, because when you think of J.J. McCarthy, everybody says, oh, he's just a handoff merchant. All he does is just hand the ball off to his running backs, yada, yada, yada. I think he's got unreal potential, great playmaker, great off script. Michigan asked him to do that a whole lot his last season there, especially on these 3rd and longs. And like I just said, winner at all levels. And my favorite part here, he's got a wicked quick release. And if Kevin O'Connell's going to add a quick passing game, that's the number one way to do so. But one of the cons I was talking about was just his overall frame. He is a very slender build, and if you guys remember that cut they had during the Vikings-Lions game where they showed him on the sideline, he was looking real little. He looked like he was probably a $185 soaking wet. So hopefully he's able to add on just a little more weight to his frame. But how about this? What was everybody saying about Jayden Daniels before this season? He's too skinny. He's too skinny. He can't take hits. Yada, yada, yada. I'm not really too concerned about it. I understand it's not a great look for JJ that he looked like he lost about 20 pounds, but I'm sure the Vikings will have him, ready to go here. But let's show JJ McCarthy some love down below in the comment section. Type those 9s, type his jersey number, show our QB1 for next season some support down below. Now we'll talk about more around JJ McCarthy here in a second. But first off, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is PrizePicks? It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. And with the AFC, NFC championship games this weekend, I got a winner for you guys here. They have a sweet deal going on with Jayden Daniels, where only 1 passing yard gets you a win on PrizePicks, so make sure you guys take advantage of that. Then I got JD connecting with Terry McLaurin just 1 time to find the end zone this weekend. I'm going to fade James Cook on this. I think it's going to be a lot of Josh Allen on the ground. So I'm going to take the less on his rushing yards. And then Saquon gets in the end zone every week. I think he's going to do it again this weekend. But if you guys want to fade those, ride those picks, just make sure you guys do so at PrizePicks. And download that app today. Use promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, I actually forgot we were closing today's show out with this. I want to shout out to AI for creating this. I want to give a round of applause. The Chicago Bears, our division rival, back-to-back off-season champions. They won it last year with drafting Caleb Williams, and they won it again this offseason hiring Ben Johnson. And, I swear I had a little deja vu. Hearing all this love for the Chicago Bears, I'm like, it seems like we're in the same cycle over and over again with the Chicago Bears. So I found this. I thought it was pretty funny. The Chicago Bears cycle. You draft a QB in the first round. Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, Caleb Williams. You fire a bad head coach during or after the QB's rookie season. They did that with all 3 of those guys. Then you hire, I'm not going to say Ben Johnson, another bad head coach, but if we're playing the game here, hire another head coach. Then you fire the GM. You hire a new GM, and then he goes and drafts his new quarterback. Then the cycle continues. I swear to God, Bears fans, their Super Bowl is every offseason. They win it every single year. They have the best offseason ever, and it does not translate to wins. But why am I talking about this? The NFC North title odds. Not to win the NFC North, but to win the whole thing next season. I'm not saying that the Vikings should be locked in to be top 10 in this. But I think it is a joke that the Vikings and Bears necessarily have the same odds. They got the Lions at plus 850, tied for 4th. Not upset about that. A little upset about the Packers being significantly, pretty much double of what the Vikings are, plus 2,000. But that's a different story for a different day. But specifically right here, a team that was a dumpster fire this past season, the Chicago Bears at plus 4,500, just below the Minnesota Vikings at plus 4,000. But I think it's happening again. And this happens every single offseason here, where I don't know if it's just like these big-time media companies trying to manufacture, success in the Bears organization. But I promise you this, if you go, and as this offseason continues, free agency, the draft come along, I promise you the Vikings will be picked to finish last in the NFC North yet again. I will guarantee that. Everybody will be saying this. Oh, the Vikings aren't going to be able to replicate what they had in that 14-win season. The Vikings, they are due for a regression this season. I guarantee you that will be the conversation. And the media, this guy right here specifically, Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, all these guys, Dan Orlovsky, they all want the Bears to be good. Because Chicago, it's a big market. If the Bears are good, it is more money in these guys' pockets. I promise you that, and especially with Caleb Williams, such a polarizing player. If you just put Caleb, anywhere on social media, you are going to get clicks. But I do want to say this, my resolution for this offseason, because, so if you guys don't know, I was born in Minnesota, but I grew up in Chicago. So my group chat It's all Bears fans. All my best friends from back home, they are all diehard Bears fans. And shout out to them. But my resolution this year, I'm not going to let the Bears media love get under my skin this offseason because it drove me crazy last year with people picking them to go to the NFC Championship game. People are picking them to go to the Super Bowl with the rookie quarterback. I just cannot let this get under my skin this offseason. So that is my resolution. That is my New Year's Eve resolution, or New Year's resolution here. Just don't let the Bears media love get under my skin. I really doubt that's going to happen, though. But if you guys made it to then, give me a skull down below in the comment section. Fun show today. Talked a little Jayden McCarthy. Talked a little Chicago Bears. But if you guys could, give me a skull down below in the comment section. And also, I'm on Twitter. Give me a follow over there. That's the handle, @PatSieps. If you guys follow me, I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty, let's show JJ some love here. Yeah, just had to get that off my chest about the Bears. It just happens every single offseason, man. I mean, and listen, it's not like a thing where I blame Bears fans for getting their hopes up on their team. I'm the same way. I get my hopes up on the Vikings every year. My main problem is just the media. These guys who have huge audiences and will pretty much just already claim the Bears, oh, they've turned it around. They got Ben Johnson. They're ready to go. It's going to be a totally different story. We have heard this over and over again over the last couple of seasons. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And Max saying our free agent signings will highly affect how the sports media views our offseason. And Mac, I guarantee you, if the Vikings sign Trey Smith, sign Drew Dahlman, they will still not get any love. And T Sugar, what up? Saying F the media predictions, Vikings under the radar better. 100%. And it's kind of funny how the season went. I was saying the whole year, man, the media is showing no love to the Vikes. Still nobody believes in them. And then after that Packers game, when the Vikings were 14-2, people were picking the Vikings going to Detroit and beat that Lions team. That's when the season went to hell. So I like it better, getting under the radar. But yeah, we'll see. We also got a super chat from Blinky. They are good questions. No, we'll save those for the mailbag. JT Solos, Grey Warden Herald, and Blinky. You guys will actually headline our we're going to do a segment and a mailbag coming up next. So you guys will headline that. We'll show you guys some love there. But I appreciate you guys, man. Skull Nation saying I'm going to my track meet running a 1500. So bye and Skull. Good luck to you, man. Good luck, Skull Nation. Shout out. JT Solos, yeah, I gotcha. 1,500. What is that equivalent to? That's a lot. That's a lot. Too much running, Skull Nation. But shout out to you, man. Good luck over there. But I do want to talk about a little secret weapon that the Vikings have on their coaching staff. It's 28-year-old Grant Udinski. Now, this guy was getting interviews from the New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, to become their new offensive coordinator. And I found a sweet article, Kevin O'Connell talking about him. And it's a lot of fun. So we're going to dive into the secret weapon right now. Do the Minnesota Vikings have a secret weapon on their coaching staff? Well, we're going to talk about it on today's show. And this guy right here, 28-year-old Grant Udinski, has been getting a lot of love from some NFL circles this offseason. So we're going to dive into him, then also mailbag on the second half of today's show. But speaking about next season, if you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to take back the NFC North and win the division this upcoming year, just hit that thumbs up icon. You guys could get down there, hit the like button. I put the goal on today's show as 1,000 likes. If we could smash that goal, I would really appreciate it. So if you guys want the Vikes to win the NFC North, hit that thumbs up icon. So Albert Breer wrote up an article around the Vikings' secret weapon. So the first thing you may notice about Udinski is his title, which is unique. He started his coaching career under Matt Rule, who hired him at Baylor and took him to the Carolina Panthers on the advice of veteran assistant Brian Anchelicho. Kevin O'Connell then poached him in 2022. From there, Udinski went from assistant to the head coach / special projects to assistant quarterbacks coach to his current title. And each little step was taken in an effort by O'Connell to keep Udinski on the staff as long as he could, even if that meant having to work around already having a very solid offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach on the payroll. The head coach did it because the reality was Udinski had become his right-hand man, and enough folks around the NFL had come to know his value to a surging Vikings program. If you guys don't know, The New England Patriots, before they hired Josh McDaniels, they interviewed Udinski. The Seattle Seahawks, they interviewed Udinski and actually bringing him in for a second interview. But if you just kind of think about the Vikings coaching staff offensively, it is absolutely loaded. We'll dive into that a little bit more here in a second, but even more on Udinski, his specific role, like the special projects we were talking about, he was J.J. McCarthy's right-hand man this entire season. I was reading an article, I forget where it was from, but it was just pretty much saying, like, anytime J.J. had a question, Udinski was right there. Anytime J.J. had any concerns, any problems, whether there's rehab process or a question about a certain play, certain formation, certain scheme, whatever it may be, Grant Udinski was the guy that J.J. went to. And I'll tell you what, you got a big four here of some great coaches on the Minnesota Vikings. You know, obviously, you got Kevin O'Connell, I think one of the best offensive minds in the National Football League still, even though the collapse he had at the end of the season. But you got Wes Phillips, a very, very good offensive coordinator. Then you got Josh McCown as your QB coach, where this guy was getting head coach interviews this offseason. Then you got the whiz kid, Grant Udinski, sitting there waiting in the reins. And if I had to call it, though, even if it's not this offseason, I'm assuming next offseason this offensive coaching staff will look totally different. But if you guys remember, that Washington football team coaching staff where they had like Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay back in the day, and you go back and look at it, and you're just like, man, how did they let those guys out the door? I feel like that's how we're going to view this current Vikings coaching staff, where it's like, man, Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, Wes Phillips, Grant Udinski, they were all on the same staff together. I could very well see that being the case in a couple of years from now. But if you take that combination of the elite coaching staff for the Vikings, and then you take the combination of the elite offensive talent on this football team, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be just all right, because you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, you got the franchise tight end in T.J. Hockenson, with Christian Darrisaw returning from injury this next season. It gets me to this. J.J. McCarthy will be just fine. You know, I thought I would have more concern on J.J. potentially being a bust this upcoming season, because that would really set the franchise back. I really don't think that's going to be the case. I think he will be just fine. I think he will excel with this team. And, you know, if we can just, like, look back at this year's past draft class, like Caleb Williams went to a very terrible situation with the Chicago Bears. Caleb has all the talent in the world, but he went to a poor offensive play caller and a poor head coach. Where Jayden Daniels, on the other hand, got Cliff Kingsbury, a great offensive coaching staff there in Washington, and then with just everything that we've heard around JJ, just being a sponge of information, and with the elite offensive minds in this building, like, I really do believe JJ McCarthy, he'll be just fine. He will be a good quarterback in the NFL, but it's going to come down to number 9. Will he be good? Will he be great? We'll have to wait and see on that. But you guys be honest with me. Do you believe J.J. McCarthy is the guy? Do you believe J.J. is the potential franchise quarterback that us Vikings fans have been waiting for, for a very, very long time? You guys let me know. Give me a Y for yes down below in the comment section, or give me an N for no. Now we'll get to you guys' questions here on the Vikings here in a second. But first off, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, Game Time, they have an awesome new feature on their app called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. They also have a views from your seat feature that gets you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you even buy the ticket to whatever event it may be. So if you guys are looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves schedule or the Minnesota Wild schedule, and you guys notice there's a team you want to see playing in Minnesota, take advantage of this deal. Get yourself a free beer at the game, and just take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. It can be a stressful process, but Game Time pretty much reduces all the stress there. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, little mailbag to close out today's show. JT Solo saying, #Vikings. Do you think Ashton Genty will fall to the Vikings? I'm going to go no on this. I think the Denver Broncos will be looking to take a running back at pick 20. But let's just say Denver doesn't take a running back. Maybe the Steelers could take him ahead of the Vikes. I don't think the Packers would. But if he is there, I'll be very curious to see if Kwesi makes that pick because he is a very analytically driven person. And if he views like, oh, I could get a running back in the 3rd round that could maybe have not like the same amount of production, but get damn near to what Ashton Jeanty would bring in, then maybe they go corner, maybe they go offensive line in the 1st round. If I had to call it, though, I would say the Vikings don't draft a running back. I would want them to, but if Jeanty's there, I mean, that would be a tough decision for Kwesi to make. But the Grey Warden Harold coming in with the next question, saying, #Vikings, what do you think our 3 biggest needs are? Number 1's got to be interior offensive line. I think that's by far. Number 2 would have to be corner, considering you don't have any starters from last season technically on the roster this upcoming year. But if you re-sign Byron Murphy, you got Mekhi Blackman coming back, I think that's a good starting point. Maybe then you bring in a veteran or you go get a guy like DJ Reed in free agency or you draft a guy like Benjamin Morrison, which we've talked about in the channel countless times. But the 3rd biggest need, I'm going to probably go interior defensive line here. Like Harrison Phillips, like Jonathan Bullard, like Jalen Redmond. Do I love any of those guys? Not necessarily. I think they could use a blue chipper there. So if I had to call it, interior O-line, cornerback, and defensive line. Blinky coming in saying McCarthy needs a Jeanty and a good O-line in my opinion. Any rookie who threw 30-plus times in a game is going to have a rough game. I know Cowboys likely draft him, but even Jerry Jones knows need O-line more than a great running back. Blinky, I think the first point you made here nailed it on the head. Like, J.J. McCarthy, and I don't think this is a shot at him by any means, but, you know, where he excels is having that strong running game, having that strong support system. And when he is in those 3rd and long situations, which at Michigan, he had to convert a lot of those big 3rd and longs. That's the situation you want JJ to be in, not, hey, we're spreading out, going 5 wide every single play, and it's just JJ throwing the ball 40 times a game. So, you know, I think McCarthy does need a Jeanty in his life, but if it's not Jeanty, what about a Caleb Johnson? What about, you know, Hampton from North Carolina? There are other guys, or Cam Scadaboo from, you know, Arizona State. There are other guys in there where you can get that bell cow, that workhorse running back. But I totally agree with you on this. You need that a run game this season. And my bold prediction that I've been saying a lot, I think the Vikings offense will look a whole lot different this upcoming year. I don't think it'll be the air raid attack where it's Darnold dropping back 40-plus times a game, throwing it to Jefferson, Addison, and Hockenson. I think there will be a run-first offense this upcoming season. At least I would hope so. But JJ the GOAT, great name, coming in saying, what Vikings free agents should they bring back? Byron Murphy, number 1. Cam Bynum, number 2. And then I think that's where it ends for me. You can let guys like Dalton Reisner walk. You can let guys like Jihad Ward, you know, those really rotational players walk. But even if you have to let Cam Bynum walk to sign a great interior offensive lineman, I'm cool with that. But I think Byron Murphy has to be, you know, number 1 priority for the Vikings heading into free agency. But appreciate the question. Vikings fan for life, what's going on? Saying, are you scared that the Bears hired Ben Johnson? I mean, not really. Listen, the Bears did a great job. Got the best, you know, head coach candidate that was out there. There's no doubting that. But I think it's also delusional that Bears fans possibly think, oh, Ben Johnson's going to come in and completely change life here. And offseason champs, hang the banner yet again, Chicago. Because last offseason, the media love for them got out of control. People were picking them to go to the Super Bowl. And we got about 10 weeks into the season, realized they were a disaster. And then this season, the whole cycle is starting over again. And we've talked about the Chicago Bears cycle here. You draft a QB in the 1st round. You fire that head coach. They get all the blame. You hire another bad head coach. Then you end up firing the GM. The new GM comes in there, and then they want to draft their own quarterback. This cycle has gone through starting with Mitch Trubisky, went to Justin Fields. I don't want to guarantee it, but I could see Bears fans hanging up their number 18 Caleb Williams jerseys right up next to Justin Fields, number 1, and right up next to Mitch Trubisky, number 10. So, answer for that, I'm going to go not really, but I could, I don't love the Bears hiring Ben Johnson by any means. I think he's a very, very smart offensive mind. Can he be a head coach? We'll wait and see. JT Slow is saying, do you think the Cowboys will get him? If you're talking about Ashton Jeanty, I'll tell you what, Jerry would love it. Put some more butts in those seats in that big old stadium he's got down there in Texas. I'm going to probably say no, though. I don't think they would take him, that high in the 1st round. But, hey, Jerry, he loved Ezekiel Elliott. Maybe he's thinking I could get a little Zeke in Ashton Jeanty. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'd probably say no on that. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a skull down below in the comment section. Get rowdy for me. and make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. And also, I am on Twitter, the handle, @PatSieps. Give me a follow over there. Follow you guys right back. If you guys also just want more Vikings content on your Twitter timeline, follow me over there. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Vikes. Alrighty. If you guys could get a question down below in the live chat for me. Use hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. A full mailbag coming up where it's just me chopping it up with you guys. T Sugar, what up? Saying Skull, shout out to you. Great Grand saying Daniels got spanked by the best team. Well, he beat the Eagles and the Lions this year, so I disagree with that. JJ beat the best teams. Oh, he's arguing with my bad. Great. Listen, I'm a big believer in McCarthy. I would stand by that. I think it'd be the complete wrong decision if they would pay Sam Darnold an extension. But also JJ just turned 22. Was it 2 days ago, January 20th? He's a young guy. I mean, Jayden Daniels, he's already 24, I believe, probably about to turn 25. Take advantage. Yeah, no, he had a meniscus. We understand that, but like we were just talking about, those mental reps he's been getting all season long, I think it will really pay big dividends for the Vikings this upcoming season. Skull Nation, great question. I appreciate you. Demon, no one's expecting him to get us 14 wins, but if he does, that'd be nice. Yeah, okay. Also this. I can already see it now. The Vikings have a brutal schedule next season. You play the AFC North, you play the NFC East. It is a gauntlet. I could see the Vikings winning 10 games and everybody freaking out. Oh, we won 14 with Darnold. We only won 10 with JJ. If we won 10 games with JJ next season, I would be thrilled. If we made the playoffs, went 10-7 as a wild card, I would be thrilled. Now, would I be concerned if the Vikings went 6-11, 7-10, 110%? But I don't want everybody just freaking out, saying, oh, JJ's not Darnold. He didn't put up the numbers he did. Because this offense could look completely different, where it's a run-first team, where they're not throwing the ball over the lot like they used to. But Joey saying, did you get a haircut? I like it. I did. Went a little shorter up top. Just kind of got sick of doing my hair in the morning. So got it all shaved up top. Feels good. Cameron saying, when is Mekhi Blackman coming back? He'll be ready to go. Yeah, also a good question, Cameron. Hashtag Vikings to get in on the mailbag, but I'm sure he'll be ready by June 1st. He'll be ready to rock. Keith saying, whoever is QB next season will have a tough schedule, and 14 wins will be next to impossible. Exactly. The Vikings lost 2 teams this past season. Like, it will be very hard to replicate that. King of the North, Pat, will Aaron Jones wander or trade? Well, he's a free agent, so they can't trade him. I'm assuming he walks, though. Besides JJ, going to give us that free agency goodness. Yeah, Vikings need some free agency goodness this upcoming year. Get some offensive linemen, man. I'm with you. We need some free agency goodness. Shout out to you guys. But we're going to get into this mailbag. Get those questions in there. Hashtag Vikings. Super chat to get up on the show. We would appreciate it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it is a mailbag where it's just me and you guys talking about our favorite football team for the next 10 to 12 minutes. It's my favorite thing we do here. So if you guys want to join these mailbags, we go live every Wednesday at around 4 p.m. Central Time. Hop in the live chat, get your questions in there. You guys can be featured on one of these shows. But Ben, going to kick us off here saying, hashtag Vikings. Who do you think the Vikings are going to pick in the NFL draft? They could go a number of different directions. I think your 3 biggest needs are interior offensive line, corner, and defensive line, and maybe running back. But let's just say you hit offensive linemen hard in free agency with a lot of good options out there. I would probably say the Vikings go corner in round 1. If I had the best guess what Kwesi will do, I would guess it would be a cornerback, a Benjamin Morrison, which we've broken down, Notre Dame corner. Love him. But, if I had the pick and if Genty's there on the board, I'm taking Genty. I think we've seen running backs have a resurgence this past year with guys like Derrick Henry. I mean, Saquon Barkley's still playing right now. He's having a great season. Having that elite dynamic running back just helps the quarterback. It helps an offense where you really got to show that guy a whole lot of attention. So I'm gonna go they draft a cornerback, but ideally I would hope them go Caleb Johnson or Ashton Genty. Julius coming in with the next question. Shane, should Vikings get Daniel Jones using VR to trade for a lot of value? I love this thought. This was probably talking about, we did a show early on this week about J.J. McCarthy using like the VR headset to help him train during his rehab process. Julius, I don't hate this. You get out a lot of reports, like just have the Vikings beat reporters get out to the NFL world like, damn, Daniel Jones, he completely looks different as a quarterback. He's using this VR training. Same thing that Jayden Daniels used, and then you re-sign him, trade him. Like the thought process, probably not going to happen. But I do think the Vikings should bring back Daniel Jones to be the backup quarterback next season. But Joey Tana, what's going on, man? Saying hashtag Vikings. Who will bring back for the Vikes, free agent, an addressed offensive line problem? And we should draft Caleb Johnson the first round from Iowa, running back. So who will we bring back? In terms of our free agents, Byron Murphy's number one for me. Got to bring him back. Number two would be Cam Bynum. But besides that, I'm cool with letting all those rotational guys walk there. And then talking about addressing offensive line, hopefully they do so in free agency. Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman, hear the name, remember the name. We'll be saying it a whole lot. And then Caleb Johnson, I would love it. Little pro comp for Caleb Johnson, Iowa running back. I've heard a lot of James Conner, physical back, great at the goal line, which as we know, the Vikings have struggled running at the goal line over the last couple of seasons. So Caleb Johnson, I would love that being the pick in the first round. Would be a little high, but I would be cool with Kwesi going that way. Skull Nation, great question. Hashtag Vikings. Fire Wes Phillips and hire Grant Udinski. What's your opinion on Wes Phillips? So Wes Phillips it's interesting because he does have the offensive coordinator title. But if I had the power rank, like just the offensive coaching staff, who is most valuable? It's obviously KOC number one. Josh McCown, 2. Honestly, now everything we're hearing about Udinski, probably him 3. Like, if you guys have seen the Office episode where Jan is making Michael Scott fill out his hour-per-hour, day-to-day life working, I would love to know that for Wes Phillips. Maybe it's just from the outside. We don't really see his value. I'm sure he has a lot more. I don't hate this idea. It would be a ballsy one. But if you want to keep Grant Udinski on this staff, it might be the only way you can next offseason is firing Wes Phillips, and then you promote Grant, and then you would assume Josh McCown will eventually get a head coaching job. But Skull Nation, really appreciate the question. JT Solos, do you think Ashton Jeanty will fall to the Minnesota Vikings? I'm going to say no on this. I just think a team like the Denver Broncos at pick 20, or maybe the Steelers could get him. But if he's there at 24, man, it would be a tough decision for Kwesi in this front office. But I'm going to just say no. I'm not going to get my hopes up on this one, and I don't think you guys should either. And also, like, a team could get really aggressive and draft him in the top 12. Like, we really don't know. And also, like, let's just say he goes out there, he runs like a 4.4 40, or he has a great combine. Like, that could up his draft value. So I'm going to lean no that Genty's available at pick number 24. Well, let me know you guys' answers to this question here. So, who is your favorite player on this current Vikings roster? One note, you cannot say Justin Jefferson. So besides Jefferson, who is your favorite player? If I had to give mine, would say Harrison Smith, but assuming he retires, Ivan Pace Jr. I'm going to go Ivan Pace Jr. Dude is a madman at the linebacker position. But you guys let me know, who's your favorite player on the Minnesota Vikings? Now we'll dive in some more questions here in a second, but first off, got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that being Prize Picks. We got a sweet deal for you guys. If you guys download the app today, plug in promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use that promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. What is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. AFC, NFC championship games this weekend, and I'm already cooking something up. I got Jayden Daniels. They got a deal going on right now where 1 passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks, so make sure you guys take advantage if you're creating any lineups for this weekend. And Terry McLaurin, I got him getting the paint against the Philadelphia Eagles. Then I think Josh Allen's going to be running a whole lot against the Chiefs, so I'm going to fade James Cook on this one, take his less on 56.5 rushing yards. And then Saquon, he gets in the end zone every game. I think he's going to do the same thing this Sunday. But fade those picks. ride with those picks, just do so at Prize Picks. And download that app today. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, the Gray Ward and Herald coming in. I think we should target the interior offensive line in free agency and a halfback in the draft. But if we don't, where do you think we should go in the draft? So, Jack Loneray, I think I have a photo of J.J. McCarthy. He's like kind of hugging a guy. It's split in two. I don't know if this is in the graphic sheet right now, but it's Alabama offensive guard Tyler Booker. Yeah, this is it. So these two were teammates when J.J. transferred from Nazareth Academy, my high school in Chicago, to IMG. These two were teammates at IMG, and this was after the Rose Bowl this past season, and he was pretty much dapping JJ up, saying, hey, go win the big one. Go get it done. If you want to make JJ happy, go draft this guy. He's a mauler at the interior offensive line. But, let's just say, and there's not really that many good halfbacks in free agency. Probably best one, Najee Harris. But if you miss out on some interior offensive linemen in free agency, I wouldn't mind the Vikings reaching on a guy in the first round. Be able, saying, does J.J. McCarthy have the mobility to avoid sacks? 110%. I think that's one thing that's underrated about his game is people just kind of view Michigan, and he was like, oh, he's a system quarterback. When you hear system quarterback, you just think of a guy, statuesque, just gets the ball out on time, turns around, hand it off. But, Michigan gave him a lot of, creative ability in that offense where these big-time third and longs would come around. And if you guys just go turn on the tape, like, he was awesome off script. And I think that's the one thing us Vikings fans need to kind of be prepared for is that JJ will be unbelievable off script right away because he's been like that since high school. He was like that at Michigan. He's a very creative football player. He's a great backyard football quarterback. And I think when you just hear like, oh, J.J. McCarthy, system quarterback at Michigan, you don't necessarily connect that with the guy being extremely creative outside the pocket when the play is broken down. But that's really one of the things that J.J., in my opinion, excels in. And coming in, saying, do you think the Vikings will sign Trey Smith? I hope so. I really do. But, you go back and look at Robert Hunt's contract. He signed a 5-year, $100 million deal last offseason, becoming the highest paid offensive guard in the league. I'm assuming Trey Smith will beat that. He'll probably get around $22 million. So whether that's like a 4 for 88, maybe you just go like a 4 for 100 and you give him, $25 million guaranteed. But there will be a lot of suitors out there. A lot of good teams need some interior offensive line help, especially with you look at the last couple teams remaining. Eagles, elite offensive line. Bills, elite offensive line. Where Trey Smith is right now, Chiefs, elite offensive line. It's kind of like having a bullpen in the MLB. Like, you got to have a strong bullpen to go win a World Series. I think the same thing can be said about offensive line in the National Football League. Jacob saying, #Vikings. Pat, who do you think is the best wide receiver in this year's draft? So, I'm being honest with you. I haven't done a lot of wide receiver scouting so far, but I would probably say the guy out of Arizona, Tet McMillan. Dude's a stud, big body. I think he's like 6'5", great contested catch guy. But honestly, I haven't really looked into him too much. Vikings don't have a need at that position. I've been really just diving into offensive linemen, cornerbacks, running backs. But I'd probably have to say Tet McMillan, best wide receiver in this year's draft. The Purple Filth, what's going on, man? #Vikings. If we get JJ a good running game, do you think it would be the same kind of formula he had winning the national championship with Michigan? I love that you brought this up. This is where I think the Vikings need to go. I understand your best player on your team is a wide receiver, so you want to throw the ball a whole lot. But I think if you kind of tell Jefferson, be like, hey, man, we're going to change this offense. We're going to get in the run first. You'll still have your big play opportunities. Because, you take the Niners, for example, last season, one of the best running offenses in the league, but they still had a guy like Brandon Ayuk go for over 1,400 yards. I think maybe JJ, in terms of Jefferson, his production will go down, just overall raw stats, but he will be more impactful. But I agree with you. If the Vikings try to replicate how they played on offense this past season with Sam Darnold, with J.J. McCarthy, it will be, I don't want to say a disaster, but it will not go well. I think J.J. needs to have a good running game behind him, and that's where he really excels. So, Purple Filth nailed it on the head with that one. KJ, the QB, saying, #Vikings. Do you think the Vikings defense will be better or worse than this previous season? Great question here. Better or worse here? Well, we're keeping Flores, which is or likely keeping Flores. You never know with what the hell is going on down there in Jacksonville. But I'm going to say they won't get worse, I don't think, because you brought in a bunch of new guys, Cashman, Van Ginkel, Grenard, just another year, in the Flores system. I mean, it would be tough to be better. If the Vikings defense is better than it was this season, I mean, that would be a huge win for this football team. I'm just going to say it stays the same. I think they'll be very, very, similar to how they produced this past season. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching this entire mailbag. And if you guys made it to the end, just give me a scold down below in the comment section. Let me know where all the real ones are at. If you guys also want more Vikings content on your Twitter timeline, give me a follow over there on X. The handle is at PatSieps. Give me a follow. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes. Joey DeLuca in the live chat. What's going on, JD? Send in that $1. We appreciate you, man. And he also said, Seeps, you the man, brother. You're the man, Joey DeLuca. I appreciate you, dude. I appreciate you. Bunch of JJ hating clowns up in here. Yeah, you know what I honestly kind of hope happens? I hope the Vikings get like a softball team game 1, and JJ's terrible. Like, I'm talking he has 150 yards, 2 interceptions, and all the people who weren't high on JJ coming out of the draft were like, oh, I told you, JJ should have re-signed Sam Darnold. I cannot wait for that conversation after one bad game from JJ, but I'm a believer in him, man. I just think he's built from the right stuff. Really do. Very, very, very confident in that. But JD, appreciate you. Gino in the chat. DeLuca saying number 8. It's actually number 13 now if you're talking about Daniel Jones, JD. I do think Daniel Jones will be the backup next season. I think that's ideal for us Minnesota Vikings. You have Daniel Jones as the backup, JJ as the starter. Oh, JJ's going to cook? Hey, I got you, man. I got you. I'm a believer. Oh, what's up, Joseph? This is from the guy from Giants. Shout out to you. All right, but we're going to sign off here. Just about over 2,000 people joined us today, so we appreciate you. Mama Cheese, and I love your videos. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for watching them. But we're going to sign off here on today's live show. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to producer extraordinaire, Jack Lanaray, for killing it on the 1s and 2s. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.